And welcome to Countdown to College Game Day, covered by State Farm. Blacksburg, Virginia is the site of the big one this afternoon. The Hokies, number 8 in the country, riding a 9-game winning streak, welcome in a North Carolina team that just knocked off NC State, the number 6 ranked team in the country. 3 weeks left until Selection Sunday, a ruckus Castle Coliseum for the Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore Show. We welcome you here in Bristol, Connecticut, Studio E, alongside Alexa Philippou, Harry Lyles Jr. I'm Sam Ravitch. Great to have you along with us. And guys, this is just one of the great matchups that we have this glorious Sunday. But we only got 3 weeks left in the season. It's hard to believe. What's one or two storylines that you guys are going to be following the next couple of weeks down the season?
Well, even just within the last few days, when we're talking about bracketology, all the teams on the one line have started to change and shift around. Yep. And so we really aren't going to be sure who's going to get that coveted one line spot until I really think the last few days of the season. We see how conference tournaments pan out.
For me, it's that, and just feels like we're seeing many different teams catch fire at the right time, and for me, that's just going to make for a better tournament. We're
not going to waste any time here because we have so much to get to here in our short 30-minute show before College Game Day starts. So let's get right into Magic Moments covered by State Farm. And guys, we're going to head out west to the Pac-12. There's just been so much talent at the top there. You got 6 teams in the top 18 of the AP poll. They reside in the Pac-12. They just keep beating up on each other. It's like the Big 12 in men's basketball. That's the Pac-12 for the women. We'll start here with who else than USC freshman phenom JuJu Watkins. She dropped 42 points in USC's revenge win over number 11 Colorado on Friday night. Alexa, what did you take from her performance there, and what does she mean overall to the success of USC?
Well, 42 points and on efficient shooting, 10 for 19 from the field. It was such a good bounce-back performance from her because against Oregon State, the game prior, she'd really struggled from the field. But not only she gets 42 points, but she's doing it all. She has 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. She did struggle a little bit with turnovers, but she's still the player that is going to potentially make USC a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And if you told people that maybe 2-3 years ago that this USC team could be a 1 seed, could be hosting when it comes to the NCAA tournament, could maybe make a run in the Pac-12 tournament, I think they would be shocked.
And they haven't hosted for a long, long time, Lyles. Mm-hmm. What would hosting mean for USC, for a program that has just craved success over the last several decades now and haven't had it? What would that mean for them to host and be a 1 seed?
The place that I kind of just keep coming back to is, like, she is exceeding the hype that she brought with her somehow. And this genuinely sort of feels similar to an Iowa situation last year where, look, I'm not sold on them as a total team just yet, but if you told me, hey, like, they're going to get the 1 seed and JuJu Watkins has to be the best player on the floor for 6 consecutive games, she seems like the type of player that would take on that challenge and possibly even succeed. So for me, it's just seeing that momentum again, like mentioned at the top of the show. They're one of those teams that seems like they could be catching fire at the right time.
Here you see the projected top 4 seeds right now. USC, according to our good friend Charlie Cream, has been moved up to the 1 line. Now, they have the only ranked-on-ranked matchup actually today, USC and Utah. Alexa, I'm throwing a little speedball at you. What do you expect in this game today between these two teams?
Utah is a tough team, but they've also really struggled recently. Sometimes when their offense can't get going, if Alyssa Peely is struggling, they've also dealt with injuries, and that's been a real bummer because I thought they were a team that really could make a Final Four run if they were healthy. So it could be a really good matchup, but USC at home on this win streak, I have to think the Trojans are going to come out ready to roll.
You got to go through JuJu's house if you want to get a win, and that's what Utah will have to deal with or contend with today in Los Angeles. Up in Northern California, however, Arizona shocked number 4 Stanford, really shocked the entire college basketball community. Alexa, does the loss for Stanford say more about them, or does the win say more about Arizona?
So you first have to credit Arizona. They made that late run to come back and win the game. Jada Williams went off in the 4th quarter to make sure that the Wildcats could pull off that first upset at Maples Pavilion in 23 years. But for me, I am worried about Stanford, and this loss showed a little bit of why I think you could have some cause for concern if you're a Cardinal fan, because their guard play is their weakness of this year's team. We love Cam Brink and KiKi Arioff down low. They really get it done. And obviously right here, Cam wasn't on the floor. She was sick. And so you think that, when Cam's back, she's healthy. It should bode well for Stanford. But their guards are going to have to play better for them to make a deep run in March.
You agree with that? You think concern for Stanford?
I think that's a fair evaluation. And this is really their only bad loss of the season. Like, they've certainly been hot and cold at times. But Cameron Brink and KiKi Iriafen are really going to have to carry this team if they are going to make a push, which, look, man, it doesn't feel like a safe bet, but I'm not against it at this point.
Okay, fair enough. The watch list for Coach of the Year, which is always a hotly debated kind of award, has been released. 5 of the 15 coaches reside in the Pac-12, to just go and speaks to the overall success that the league has had in their final iteration this season. You got Tara Vanderveer, of course, at Stanford, Corey Close at UCLA, Lindsey Gottlieb at USC, J.R. Payne at Colorado, and Scott Rueck at Oregon State. I just want to talk about and touch on J.R. Payne and what Scott Rueck has done at Oregon State. I had the pleasure of calling Colorado's, first and second round games at Duke last year. And it felt like a coming out party to a lot of people nationally who were just maybe seeing Colorado and what JR had been building there. And they brought back a lot of those players this year. I don't know if she will win the award, but I certainly think that it's worth mentioning what she has done for a Colorado program that has not had a lot of success, but the school athletic department has had a lot of notoriety, of course, over the last year or so. Any other coaches you'd like to shout out, Alexa, in this one?
Yeah, well, Scott Rueck, what can you say about Oregon State at this point? They are one of the hottest teams in the country. I think they've won 10 of their last 11 games, and the one that they lost, their best player, Reagan Beers, was out with an injury. And this was a team that won 4 conference games last year. And they brought back a lot of players. They played really good defense, but they also have that inside-out presence, and they have a grittiness that I think could be really good for this team to make a run in March. And that depth, too, is another factor that could really separate them.
It really feels like you could sort of pick who you want in this circumstance based on sort of like what's your flavor. Because I know for me, with USC and Lindsey Gottlieb, like to just see this program back at this place that they've arrived at, is enough for me to go with them.
Which team in this conference do you guys think is poised to make a deep run into the NCAA tournament? Lyles, we'll start with you here.
I am going to go with Stanford. And
okay.
So here's where I'm at on this. Because I know, it doesn't look good, but a game that they played last year against Ole Miss in the NCAA tournament, where Cameron Brink was the most fed up player I think I've ever seen, and just decided she was going to take it into her own hands. If we can get that Cam Brink, KiKi Iriafen, do what she does, that's enough. You don't even need great point guard play at that point. But I think if they can get to that place, and then obviously when we're talking about coaching, we're talking about the GOAT, Tara Vanderveer, I'm willing to sort of bet on that as opposed to everything else that we've sort of got going on, which is not to say, again, that they feel like the pick I would be the most confident in, but I'm willing to take that risk. I'm
going to show some love to Colorado because they proved that they could do it last year. And again, they did return a lot of their players with Sherrod, of course, and what she can do at the point. Frida Foreman can shoot the lights out of the basketball. So I'm going to go with Colorado to make a deep run because they have proven that they can. Who would you say out of the Pac-12 can make a run here, Alexa?
Yeah, we talked about Oregon State. That would be my dark horse contender right now, which we'll have to see how that pans out. But UCLA, we haven't talked about so far in this show, and we really cannot count them out. They have such a great inside-outside presence with Lauren Betts doing her thing down low. And then when you talk about their guard play, they can really get going like that shot there, too, from London Jones. So if their guards are operating and they're able to really get that inside-out game going with Lauren Betts, again, I could really see them making a run.
I got to take this big picture before we depart this segment because you wrote a great piece, too, for ESPN.com about what the Pac-12 has meant to the world of college basketball, certainly on the women's side. And this is the final season as we know it for the Pac-12. What do you think college basketball will miss most about this conference, Alexa, when it is?
Trying to make me cry,
I'm sorry. That's my job. It's my job. What do you think we'll miss about the Pac-12 most?
Well, it's, we're going to see this just in a different form in terms of we'll see, USC and JuJu going off in the Big Ten. We'll see Stanford in the ACC. But some of these matchups were just, you can't ask for much more between those California schools playing the history, the rivalry that really was built up over, decades. And, obviously the Pac-12 brought in new teams over time. It used to be the Pac-10 and all that. So it's changed forms. But, as a person who went to a California Pac-12 school, I'm definitely going to miss some of those matchups and just the history and longevity of success that they've really been able to establish in women's basketball.
And the regionality of college sports is the only thing that makes sense. Like, any of these logos behind us, let me tell you something. You put a Rutgers logo next to any one of those and tell me if that makes sense. Like, right? Or Stanford is getting ready to, be playing Virginia Tech on a regular basis.
Right.
Like what are we doing?
No, regionality is what makes college sports special, and that, I feel like, is something that we are going to miss. Our very own Holly Rowe got a chance to catch up with UCLA star sophomore KiKi Rice earlier in an interview this week. Take a look.
KiKi Rice, why is the Pac-12 the toughest league in the nation?
Through and through. I mean, every single team in the Pac-12, it's going to be a battle every night. And I think you don't find that in every conference. And you know that home game and away game is going to be tough. And just the talent that we have across this league, it's unmatched.
How have you become such a great defender so far?
I think a lot of that is just learning from my teammates. I mean, I have two great veteran leaders, Charisma and Cam, who are fantastic defenders. I think Charisma is the best two-way guard in the country. I'm an incredible defender, and I think that just watching her every day in practice and, getting to post on the course really taught me a lot on the defensive end.
If people hadn't watched UCLA play yet this season, what would you say is the biggest thing they need to know about your team?
A lot. I mean, I hope you would have watched us by now, but if you haven't, I would say the depth that we have is fantastic. I mean, guards, posts, wings. We have people at every position, a lot of versatile players. I think are really, really exciting.
You're kind of in your journey growing as a player, double digits in scoring right now. You've found your rhythm a little bit. What do you think is the best part of your game right now?
Right now, I think that's just my confidence. I think these last few games I've been feeling really good about my shots, my attacks, my pull-up game. I think I'm just finding that confidence, finding that rhythm is something that's going to be really scary.
Coach Close just said, hey, we've got to get back to our aggression. What will an aggressive UCLA team do down the stretch?
An aggressive UCLA team down the stretch will attack, will kind of determine how the game goes. We'll look to get the ball inside to Lauren because we know what a great force she is in there, and we'll just be ready shooters.
You just gifted your team PE Jordans. Can we just talk for a second how cool that is? What does that make you feel? You're a Jordan brand athlete and you're spreading that love.
It was so fun to see all my teammates' reactions to when they open up the shoes, and it's so great to see their support me. They're so happy, and it's just what team is all about.
Why should everybody fear the Bruins in March Madness?
Everyone should fear the Bruins in March Madness because of the talent we have, the work ethic, and I just think how together we are. I mean, this team, the support we have for one another, how much we love each other, how much we want each other to succeed is unique, and that's what is going to really allow us to take those next steps down the tournament.
Big things happening for KiKi.
Yes.
Holly, thank you so much for that. Holly was also on site for when Caitlin Clark obviously broke the record, the scoring record for women's college basketball. But let's start here with Caitlin Clark. The blowout loss to Indiana, 86-69. You see it there. And Clark was held to 24 points. Now, for anybody else in college basketball, that is like a career high. But for Caitlin Clark, it was her second lowest scoring output the entire season. Alexa, how did the Hoosiers do it? How'd they stop her? And maybe have they figured out a blueprint for other teams to stop Caitlin going forward?
I think you could say they did. And that graphic that we had above our heads of Caitlin Clark really looking frustrated, I think that said it all. I mean, they really made life live in hell for her. So she only made 8 of her shots from the field, 3 threes. They really made it difficult for her to get anything going. But then they also did a really good job defensively of making sure no one else totally went off. But that kind of goes back to this question that we have about Iowa's. Can other people step up if Caitlin has an off night? And they couldn't against Indiana.
No, they haven't been able to. And I keep bringing up these names, Monica Sonano and McKenna Warnock. It feels like they're really missing them as their second and third options, which that's nothing against, Kate Martin and Hannah Stuelke. They've had big games. Obviously, Hannah had the 47-point game against Penn State. But this doesn't feel quite the same. And I think the thing that has stuck out to me with Caitlin Clark is you can kind of see and hear her frustration post-game. Even after the Nebraska loss, they were asking her about the record. She's like, dude, we got to stop blowing games. We're coming away with some of these, but this has to look more consistent until they get there. It hasn't looked so far like this could be the same type of year where she's able to just shoot them out of these situations.
Right. We've all heard, too, Caitlin Clark give interviews. She's one of the nicest people and always puts a lot of the credit to her teammates for her success, right? But she needs those teammates now to step up and help her win games because she wants to win. So, Lyles, the question for Iowa has been, can they get those pieces going to win and go to a national championship? Do they have what it takes this year to do that or no?
It feels tough. I don't have the same confidence in it this year. It's not there. Like even this time last year, same game, Indiana. She leads them, and they won that one. It was a buzzer beater, obviously still a close matchup, but this looked like a completely different team. They really stumped them. I mean, it was a dominant performance. I mean, we were sitting here watching some of the highlights before the show started, and we were like, yo, like they're really sort of bodying them, sort of throwing them around, and that's not used to the Iowa team that we're used to seeing.
And I do want to add, too, Indiana scored, was it 86 points? So their offense got going. They made a lot of threes. They had, I think, 2 players, Mackenzie Holmes and Sarah Scalia, combined for 49 points. So it's not just that Iowa, they usually need to win by outscoring their opponent. But if they're going to allow 86 points, and that's going to be really tough, too, to beat some of these elite teams.
Yeah. So the loss put Iowa 2 games back from Big Ten leader Ohio State. Now, Ohio State was a team that went to the Sweet 16 2 years ago. They go to the Elite Eight last year. Alexa, is Kevin McGuff's team now poised to make an even deeper run into the NCAA tournament and potentially win a national title?
I'm not sure if I'm completely there yet with Ohio State, and here's why. I think they played extremely well in the last 13 games with this win streak. But to me, they still have moments, and they've been known to have these moments even dating back to last year, where they're inconsistent. So games where they have a really bad first half and then have to come back in the second half, or vice versa. They give up a big lead in the second half after being up by a lot. So for me, I need to see more, especially once, the spotlight is really on them, about that they can play a full 40 minutes. And they're going to need Cody McMahon. We saw her there just with that basket. They're going to need her to play at an All-American level to make that deep run.
And don't they have a game against Iowa coming up?
That's true.
So you know what? Let's find out about both teams coming up, huh? Like that'll be a good test.
We'll find out about the good teams, of course. We'll find out about great players. Caitlin Clark, of course, a great player. But there are so many other great players. We've already talked about possibly her heir apparent in JuJu Watkins. But the freshman class this year in women's college basketball is absolutely loaded. And obviously it starts with JuJu Watkins, but let's not forget what Hannah Hidalgo has done at Notre Dame. And not only is she going to be in conversation for ACC Player of the Year, but, I mean, her numbers are National Player of the Year good, Alexa.
Yeah, she's really done an incredible job as a freshman. And a Notre Dame team that, they're without Olivia Miles. They've had some other injuries, but she's been just that constant, consistent force. And what she's able to do on the defensive end, and we know she has these crazy steal numbers, but it's really remarkable for someone of that, young of an age to make that sort of impact. And I know she can get it done on the offensive end as well, like she did. We saw those highlights earlier from that UConn game where she had a really, really great game.
Depth is a big question for Niele Ivy's squad. Has been now for really 2 years in a row with injuries that they have dealt with. How far can Hidalgo take this iteration of Notre Dame?
To me, it happens with everything that's around her. In their games where she scores 30 or more points, they're 3-5, I believe. And that's just, to me, she's not quite the type of freshman when we think back to either Caitlin Clark's freshman season or what we're seeing with JuJu Watkins right now, where you want to just look at her and be like, all right, well, take it. Like, that's not quite their bag.
Yeah.
But I think they could get past the first weekend. Yeah, I do. But after that, it becomes a different ball game.
Matchups are going to be crucial, I think, for a team like Notre Dame with their depth issues as well. But, I mean, imagine Olivia Miles, Hannah Hidalgo, Sonia Citron on the floor at the same time. I mean, that is a dangerous, dangerous team in Notre Dame. Let's show a little love to Maddie Booker and what she has done also down at Texas. They played yesterday, and Maddie Booker had a game-high 22 points in that one. She also had 5 assists yesterday in the win over UCF. Alexa, how impressive has she been in leading the Longhorns to a potential #1 seed in the NCAA tournament?
You can't say enough about what Madison Booker has done really in taking over at the point guard spot as a freshman when Rory Harmon went down with a season-ending ACL injury. Also a credit to Vic Schaefer and the rest of the team because they've won 8 straight games in Big 12 play, and Madison Booker has been a huge part of that, averaging just under 20 points per game, just over 5 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. And so they really have a shot of winning the Big 12 crown and of, like you just mentioned, getting a 1 seed too with the March Madness tournament.
Absolutely. And Texas played yesterday, but we've got a whole slate of games for you here today on Sunday with Selection Sunday coming up 3 weeks away. You got at the bottom there, NC State at Duke. Let's see how NC State responds after their loss to North Carolina. Another day, another top 25 matchup, like we said, out west. Number 18, Utah on the road inside JuJu's house. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this one coming up at noon on ESPN. LSU at Tennessee. It kind of feels like a good test for both teams to see where they're at towards the end of the season, guys. LSU coming off the tight win over Auburn. Tennessee kept things close with South Carolina. Let's start with the Tigers, Alexa. What did you take away from their win on Thursday night?
I think it was a little bit too close for comfort for most Tigers fans. I mean, they really needed that late run to kind of get the other Tigers, I guess you could say.
Tigers versus Tigers.
Tigers versus Tigers. It's always really confusing to talk and write about. But Angel Reese, I mean, 25 points, 20 rebounds. You know what you're going to get from her every given night. Last year, Poa had a really good game too, but I still have concerns about this LSU team. They only made 2 threes against Auburn. They had 23 turnovers. They let Honesty, Scott, Grayson light them up again, and they weren't as effective on the offensive glass as they usually are. So I am a little bit concerned about them longer term, but that's nothing new.
Yeah, and with me and this LSU team, the big concern is this is the time of year last year. Like, they were figuring things out, like, during the season last year. I think a lot of people forget that because of how dominant they were later on.
That's a good point.
This is the time of year where they sort of started figuring things out, and it doesn't feel like we're quite there with them just yet, which this could be a good test. Yeah.
Coming back to you quick here on Tennessee, Lyles. They got a lottery pick in Rickea Jackson. Obviously, she's dealt with some injuries, but how does she help this team go forward here, and how can she help them maybe pull off an upset today?
To me, she's got to be the best player on the floor. Obviously, doing what she does, but then also making the players around her better. Because, you know, it's not the Tennessee teams perhaps that the three of us grew up with necessarily. But again, that's not to say that she can't get it done. And again, you're going up against an LSU team that is still sort of figuring it out. So if they, again, you start hitting on the right time and you go into the tournament with some momentum and you start having that belief, I think that sort of lifts everybody up around you, especially when we're talking about in the college game, right? And you got younger players and things of that nature. So I think as long as she's the best player on the floor and they sort of work from there, that's how this Tennessee team sort of picks up some steam.
Tennessee has made it to the Sweet 16 each of the last 2 seasons as a 4 seed. Now, unless they get a win here today, I don't think they're smelling a 4 seed right now. I think Charlie Cream has them as a 10 seed coming into the weekend, so they got some work to do. LSU, of course, the reigning national champs. Virginia Tech went to the Final Four last year, and they have aspirations to go even further, and that is where we find our friends at College GameDay.
Took a seat, yeah. I'm the only one left on the floor. Just watch me move to the beat, Just watch me move to the beat,
We now welcome in Chiney Ogwumike from the set of College GameDay ahead of the massive showdown in the ACC between North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Before we get into everything, Chiney, did you and Alexa plan this? I mean, what's going on here? You give her a call?
I know, we're twinning, we're matching, but I don't even know if you can hear me because it's loud up in here. We're ready for a game day. We're ready for senior night.
It is unbelievable, Chiney. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your first experience in Blacksburg, Virginia. What has it been like seeing the atmosphere that has been built by Kenny Brooks over the last couple of years?
Look, I feel right at home here in Blacksburg just because, one, this is a tremendous program. And last year's Final Four was no fluke. This is one of the best teams and one of the best programs in the entire nation. And I just love what they have built here. I mean, what Coach Kenny Brooks has done is he has instilled confidence. He's breathed life into his players, and I think that's a testament for them being right now top 10 ranked nationally.
No doubt about it, and they put a long winning streak on the line today. Regardless of level of basketball, Chiney, and you've been around the game for a long time, teams that play well down the stretch, what does that tell you in terms of the culture around the team?
That tells me that they're built for March. And I think a lot of last year's success was that they knew how to close the deal. I mean, it's senior night, and they have some super players here. They have a dynamic duo in Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore. Those two are one of the best pick-and-roll dynamic duos that we have seen. I mean, I'm personally a fan of the centers, the bigs. I'm a center myself. What Liz has done, she's number 7 in the nation in scoring, 23 points per game. And then Georgia, my gosh, Georgia's got the sauce. She's got the passes. She's got the step backs. She is clutch. She takes shots that matter. We watched that last year in Dallas, and it's carried over to this year, this season.
Janae, when we talk about Georgia Amore and Elizabeth Kitley, how have you seen them up their games even since that Final Four run last season?
So I always say this, good players have moves, great players have counter moves. Liz Kitley has one of the best counters I've seen in basketball, period. I play in the pros, I play in the WNBA. I'm watching her highlights, I was like, I want some of that. Everyone knows that spin move, mid-range, fadeaway, that's automatic. So if you see her growing each and every game, she gets double teamed, she kicks it out. When she kicks it out, she gets it back in. They're like, That's So Raven. I know this crowd knows That's So Raven. They read each other's minds. And I love being able to see that on a night-to-night basis, and I love seeing their individual improvement as well.
Janae, last season a loss to Duke sort of kick-started a Final Four run for this Virginia Tech team last year. It looks like we might be seeing similar notes this year. Do you see a possible run for this team in a similar way that we saw it last season?
I mean, what do they not have? They have everything. They have built this program from the ground up. They have an excellent coach. They have an excellent post player. They have good outside shooting. They have a tremendous point guard. Why not? I know a lot of times in this nature of this landscape of women's college basketball, we hear a lot of Clark and Iowa. We hear of undefeated South Carolina. We hear of LSU. We hear of how this has been the year of the Pac-12. Well, in the ACC, these are the, what do they say, y'all? Queens of the castle?
Look at that crowd. That is incredible. Janae, we want to ask you one more question, though, about UNC, because obviously we do have a matchup to talk about today. It's not just about Virginia Tech. So what do you make of the Tar Heels? They didn't have a really great stretch recently of the season, but then got that huge win over NC State last week.
Yeah, I think, ACC legend and great Ivory Latta put it best. UNC needs to close games, and they just did that, and they will have the biggest test today. And I think it starts with Deja Kelly at the point, because her being able to not only give you 9 points, but also 9 assists, I believe, in their last game, and 0 turnovers in 38 minutes, that's what she'll have to do. She'll have to control the pace, but she's got, her hands full with Georgia and company, so I think it'll be a good one. It'll be a memorable one.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better atmosphere in the ACC than Castle Coliseum over the last couple of years. Janae, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the show.
Love it.
A massive, massive showdown there between these two schools and two programs that have had success recently, Lyles. Let's stick with Virginia Tech here. We heard Janae talk about the duo. Georgia Amore and Liz Kitley, they've been great together, maybe one of the best duos that we've seen in college basketball. What do you like about them specifically?
I think they are the best duo in college basketball, honestly. But I feel like this team success really hinges on Georgia Amore. And as long as she is being the facilitator of this team, 3 of their 4 losses, she has less than 4 assists. And so as long as she's playing over that, which typically she is, there's not really a lot of middle ground there for her. Like, she either has 3 or fewer, which has been very not often, or she has 7 or more. And so this team is 17-1 when she is operating at her best. As long as she's doing that, I think they're one of the best teams in the country. Honestly.
I just want to take a second to acknowledge what we're all seeing on the screen here.
Look at that.
This is amazing to see what has happened. I called games at Virginia Tech 5 years ago, and there were 400 people in the stands. This is awesome, Alexa. Just to see this atmosphere for a women's college basketball game, we need to see more of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing a lot of that this year, but you can't say enough about the job Kenny Brooks has done.
Yeah.
Overall, just really revitalizing this program and making it what it is. So this is going to be a great game. I can't wait till 2 p.m.
It's going to be tremendous. The Hokies, by the way, 19-3 in the month of February over the last 3 seasons. They have not lost a game in the month of February since 2022 against number 3 NC State, and that was a 2-point loss. It is going to be a tremendous day of women's college basketball on Sunday. Again, just 3 weeks away from Selection Sunday. That game will be over on the ACC network between North Carolina and Virginia Tech. We, unfortunately, are out of time, but make sure you head over to ESPN to catch College Game Day there coming up in just about 15 seconds. For Harry Lyles Jr., Alexa Philippou, I'm Sam Ravitch. We also thank Janae Agumake for joining the show and our entire crew. Enjoy the day of women's college basketball, and thanks for watching Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm.